just see. See, now you're a part
This
of
is
it.
Marcelle Allen here with Brian Gibbs, the owner of Focused Idea and author of several books. So welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Marcelle.
How are you doing today?
Doing great.
Good, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. So I know you've got a couple books I want to learn more about, but also I want to hear about the big idea at the Focused Idea. So having been somebody who tends to have a lot of ideas, what is the power in having a focused idea?
It's just that. See, it's funny because a lot of times when people are talking to me, they say, well, your website's Focused Ideas. And it's like, no, it can't be Focused Ideas because that's multiple.
So what type of advice would you have? So I have a lot of clients who are, of course, like me, and they have multiple ideas as well. How do you get someone to focus on one big idea?
Start with the end in mind. What's the ultimate goal that you want to achieve?
Okay, awesome.
And go from there. And all those big ideas, all those multiple ideas can fit into the one focused idea. They're components to that.
Yeah, so you and I, we have similar careers in the sense that we're both digital strategists, and we help people with their online funnels, but you've actually got quite a bit more experience than me. In your book here, all about the ultimate guide to your marketing your local business through local search. So how does local search and Google AdWords and all those things make a complete marketing campaign?
Good question.
You know, right?
Wow, that was
Big
great.
question.
How that works really is targeting the local area. So say you've got, well, the donut shop right down the street. They don't need to market necessarily to Everett.
Yeah, no.
They do need, well, they can though, if they're trying to draw traffic in from Everett. But considering the local neighborhood, they could go as small as the street that they're on.
Yep.
So they could do donut shop on Main Street in Bothell. And start targeting even through just Google AdWords or through their search engine optimization, something like that, with that specific keyword. Because, and this happens a lot in small communities that don't quite understand. They think, well, word of mouth is how I've always done my business. It's grown really well so far that way. But what they're not taking into consideration is the people who are coming from out of town, going on their phones and saying, I want donuts. I'm in Bothell. I'm on Main Street. I don't know anywhere else.
So what about for like even a little space like this, the Remarkable Room, which, well, we're not selling donuts and we're not selling just to people in Bothell. We've got customers in other countries, other cities, but also we want to be known as kind of the go-to studio for creating remarkable content, interviews, photos, video editing, social media management. How can we leverage the search engines in that way? Or should I just read the book?
Buy the book. It's
Buy
on
the book.
Amazon.
Okay.
You can either get it on Kindle or no. Anyway, that's a great question too, because now you're expanding where your market can be, and with Facebook advertising, with Google AdWords, and then with search engine optimization. I mean, you can just always assume search engine optimization. You can target those specific areas wherever you want to hit.
That WordPress plugin you told me the other day, Yoast?
Yoast.
Love it, thank you. Such a good win for my little dreamosity.com blog. Okay, so
isn't that cool when you find the little green light?
I know, and then it's like a game. You're like, oh, I gotta make it work. I gotta make it work. I'm almost there. I need one more
Darn it, it's still
introductory
yellow.
word. I know, but that's fun. It's like gamification in SEO, and I think that's a powerful tool or a way that Yoast has created that. So thanks again for that.
Sure.
So athletics. Tell me about your career in athletics and a little bit how you use that athletic kind of competitiveness now in business.
That's kind of interesting because I don't really want to go too deep into how far I got into my sport.
How about the mindset of
mindset is good.
A competitive athlete?
So as an elite competitive athlete, we have a drive to always be absolute the best. My particular event, which was match sprinting and Kieran racing, there's a very large ego and it's a very egocentric event. So you have to be always assuming that you're the best. Taking that into business, always having that drive and always pushing, and again going back to what I said before about the goal. What's the ultimate goal? You know, so I had a goal. I had a small goal of an Olympic team. Okay, so okay, what does it take to make an Olympic team? Work backwards. So it's always, and that's where sport for me goes into the business part of it. I've got the drive from that. I've got the understanding that failure would definitely happen.
It does happen. I'm very familiar with that feeling.
Yeah. And embrace that, because if you embrace the failure, you can learn from the failure. If you don't, then the failure is just going to beat you up, and you're going to go, oh my gosh, once again, another failure.
Yeah.
But if you look at the failures as a stepping stone to improvement, then it's no problem.
That's awesome. Well, and I know, you know, that I've, on my journey, been using the whole humor heals philosophy and the yes and it's like, okay, this failure happened, yes and. You know, we can't, I mean, and it is easy just to sit and be down for a while, but at the same time, if with that competitiveness, it's like, I want to keep going, I can't just give up, I've got so much more time here, you know, and I don't know. So I have a question for you, kind of big abstract. I was sharing you before about my kind of vision for remarkable leadership, and there's a lot of content creators, and there's content consumers, and there's thought leaders, and now I'm kind of trying to position this idea of a visual leader. And that's not just something where it's just local in a city or in a country, or it could go globally. So how can, whether it's a thought leader or their search engines, but how can somebody use that competitive edge, not just to like be profitable as a company, but to lead an industry forward, right? Or to lead a concept forward? Is it making new definitions? Is it more video? Is it having a mobile app? Like, what are the ways that a thought leader can really advance an industry versus just being profitable?
Sure. The thing that I always suggest to business owners is to be precise. And again, going back to the goal, I mean, I may be a broken record, but it's always, what do you ultimately want to achieve? Now define that, and you can develop all the stuff around what you want to achieve. You can make new markets, for sure.
So would you say, if there's no vision for your marketplace, or if you say maybe your colleagues or your competition doesn't have a real clear vision, is that kind of then your role to create that vision, to cast that precise, focused idea?
Yeah.
That's so cool. I think I just had an aha there. That's what because I look at different industries and not just one industry.
Yeah.
And I see some industries are very, very advanced and very innovative and very, they serve their communities easily. And there are some communities where it's like, there's no real thought leader, there's no real direction or I think focused idea. And that's...
Well, one of the things to kind of drive that a little bit, my dad owns a roofing company. He is my test of everything.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that, but
he might now.
He's my guinea pig. I used to tell him years ago, and he never did, but I've watched other people do it.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to make videos. I don't care how small the area you're in is, and I don't care if you're the best at what you do. He's a tile roofer. And he's documented as one of the best in this part of the country. But who knows that? Because he doesn't produce the videos, he doesn't put out the content, he doesn't expose himself to drive that new business. He's counting on the referrals. That is a great example of a business that's going backwards. Where I see other younger people, people that I graduated high school with, who have some extremely successful businesses that use the video. They have posts. They have office staff that actually, that's their job.
I can't wait
is
for
to
that
put
day.
out content.
Right?
Yeah. And they are considered the experts in their field.
Would you say that in a business today, in 2016 or even 2017, that we need everybody on the team is a content creator to some standpoint, and they've got to be able to create content to be a leader in their space?
Yeah, definitely. I can't build on that because that's totally true.
I think in a lot of larger kind of corporate situations, they see the graphic designer or the copywriter or the sales guy, and they don't realize that the receptionist and the janitor and the CFO all have these remarkable ideas. But if they could just take that content and then create something, whether it's video, interviews, memes, or a book even, that it doesn't have to just be the creative team's job to create content. And that's a huge myth that I hope more people...
Do you see that as changing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I do. But it's been a hard change for some of the communities I work with. That they're open, but they're like, well, how do I create the content? And then that's a whole other question.
Content, I think, comes from conversations with
Mhm.
your customers.
Mhm.
One thing I learned a long time ago in some business, I don't know, or just some mentor I had,
Mhm.
is everybody that works in a company is the ambassador of that company.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, I mean, I don't care if you're the janitor
Mm-hmm.
or the CEO or somebody in between,
Mhm.
you're the ambassador of that company
Mhm.
regardless. So people see you out on the street, or people see you in the lobby of your business, or wherever,
Mhm. Yeah.
you're the face right then in that moment. So,
Yeah. Very-
So I'm
very
still
cool.
here with Brian Gibbs, and we're talking about kind of some of our pet peeves and some of the frustrations we see with our clients and just people on the internet. So tell us, Brian, what are some of the things you see that are just kind of beginner's mistakes? Like, what are the things that you keep seeing that you're like,
Or old dog mistakes.
yeah, old dog mistakes?
Well, keep in mind I work with a lot of small businesses
Mhm.
that may or may not have been around for a long time.
Sure.
The ones who are newer and have a younger owner,
Mm-hmm.
they're generally more open,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the industry.
Right.
I had to think about contractors and stuff like that. They're not necessarily because of the industry mindset.
Yeah.
But the older
Mhm.
people aren't as, obviously I'm making generalizations. They don't seem to embrace a lot of this new stuff,
Like automation.
like automation.
Okay. Well, I'm a young person. I consider myself
You're
young.
younger than I am.
I'm younger than you, so I could say that. But I don't actually automate right now. I don't do published. I don't do scheduled posts. I don't do an email blast because I feel it takes away from the authentic, real time and day type of thing. I
Mhm.
do leverage video, but I wouldn't call that automation. Would you call video automation, or no?
Posting it would be automated. See, but
Okay.
like if you have a scheduled
Mhm.
schedule of things,
Mhm.
you're somehow automating that from the beginning.
So-
So if you had 5 interviews scheduled,
Mhm.
granted you're not publishing them automatically, but you are putting out that schedule.
You're preparing.
Yeah.
So how do you do automation right? Like A to Z, if there was a nutshell answer, like how do you succeed with automation? Is there a clear path?
The clearest path that I can come up with would be, no, seriously, I mean, because there are different
Mhm.
theories on it.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying with authenticity,
Mhm.
okay, I've used a site called Buffer
Mhm.
for years. There's a paid version and a non-paid version. I only need to send out to 3 different things, so I
Yeah.
use the free one.
Sure.
But you can do automatic posts and auto memes and do
Mhm.
your videos and all that stuff and automatically post to your different social media outlets. But if you still want to go, so let's use Facebook for
Yeah.
example. So you have a bunch of Facebook posts already scheduled,
Mhm.
but you can jump in
And I
any
don't
time.
schedule them.
Yeah, but if you did, I'm just
Okay.
saying
If
hypothetically.
I did.
If you did, you could still go onto Facebook
Mhm.
and have your spontaneous post.
Engagement, interaction,
Yeah.
and
And if you have really good stuff that you're
Mhm.
even setting up automatically, you're still going to get the feedback from that, so you
Mhm.
can respond.
So does the Buffer app interrupt like the algorithm through Facebook? Does it get less views, or have you heard of that?
I haven't had
Protection.
anything with less. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, it says submitted by Buffer or whatever
Mhm.
the first word is.
Mhm.
They all say that. Because
Yeah.
I've got some that go from my website. You know, if I have a blog post on my website, it automatically
Mhm.
goes to different outlets.
So what about with Facebook ads? How can we automate? Because I've ran Facebook ads and I've tested
Mhm.
different campaigns, but at what point is it really automated? Because I still feel like it needs a little bit of, management and attention. So when can you really automate it?
Once you have Facebook figured out, once you
Mhm.
have the ads figured out, you
Mhm.
can kind of create the structure. I don't think you can
Mhm.
really ever automate
Mhm.
Facebook ads,
Okay.
but you can
set it,
schedule
forget
them.
it.
Yeah,
kind of
you
thing.
can schedule them in a sense to where you can turn them on and turn them off, but I don't think there's a really good way to automate them.
And do you see a mistake in, like, with your small business owners? Are they doing too little in Facebook ads? Because I tend to see that quite a bit.
I think so.
Are very hesitant to
I think
pay to
so.
play.
Yeah, I think so. And it's funny to me because one of the cool things with Facebook is you can completely target who you want to attract.
Right, like down to the zip code, the age, the.
If you went to, so I was talking with somebody yesterday, and we were talking about lead generation, and he said, but it's so broad. I said, okay, who is your target audience? And he described that to me. I said, go to a site called Info USA. They'll give you a sample of 100 contacts with their phone numbers.
Wow.
You can put the phone numbers into Facebook to define your target, and if those phone numbers are registered with Facebook,
You can target just them.
just them.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So there are different ways to do Facebook. You can go by what their interest is and narrow it down that way, or you can do it by other information that you have.
Here's a Laugh Tech question. So if I've had, say, 75 previous Laugh Tech attendees, and I do have their email and phone number, could I, in theory, run an ad campaign just to them? I think I knew that. We just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, you certainly could.
So there's a lot of powerful ways with Facebook ads, and I've definitely had a lot of success, also a lot of insight and or that didn't quite work. Right? Like, they don't always work. I wouldn't call it gambling, but there is some risk involved.
But let me interrupt that. See, that's one thing, that's a mistake that a lot of people make too, is they think, well, I've got to place these ads and I don't have a ton of a budget. So don't spend a bunch.
Yeah, just spend a little.
$5.
Yeah.
$5 a day for 3 days. If it doesn't pan out within 3 days for $5 a day, it's not going
It's
to.
not going to, yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Any other like final tips or things for people who maybe are making some mistakes or they just don't know what to do next? Like, what is that?
They should get in touch with you.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you for that, or you, or both of us, one or the other.
No, I mean, not gamble, but try things out.
Test, right?
Test it.
Test and listen.
Test,
for sure.
test.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Brian.
You bet.